Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creator.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Hi, I'm Johnny Newell.
Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you could join me.
It's good to be here, fellow.
So I love I love asking everyone that comes on the show, like the beginning, growing up and what that was like. So talk to me a little bit about what your childhood was like growing up, and how did you kind of find your way into, writing and all the things that you do?
Well, I was born with spina bifida. My dad was 63 when I was born. My mom was 40, and my mom had a stroke delivering me.
Oh, wow.
And it she was never the same after that. But God allowed for me to be here, and I was crippled. I had spina bifida, and I wore huge braces from the time I was about 2 on up until the time I was probably about 14. And my mom, she taught me to read when I was 3. And we lived 27 miles out of town. We lived 27 miles from nowhere. And there's only so much you can read. And when I was 6 years old, I had read up just about everything we had to read. So I started writing what I wanted to read.
Nice.
And God just blessed me with the writing. And with me, I can see my characters. I know them. I know what they look like. I know what they sound like. I know what their attitudes are. I mean, they're like real people to me. So that makes it a little bit better to tell a story about them because I'm acquainted with them. I was voted most likely to recede. So I was not popular in school. We were poor. And the funny thing is I was misdiagnosed, and they said I had polio. Well, back in the early mid '60s, polio was misunderstood, and people thought it was contagious. So I can remember we would go to town, and people would walk on the other side of the street because they were afraid they'd catch polio.
Oh, no.
And this was during the time the civil rights era was heating up.
Mm-hmm.
All the little white kids weren't allowed to play with me, but the black kids loved me. So I would go and I would play at their house, and I would eat with them, and I would sleep in their beds, and they just thought that. So I grew up loving everybody. I grew up being able to see people from the inside out,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the biggest blessing I can say that I had in my life. And I grew up knowing what it was like to be discriminated against too.
Mm-hmm.
So um, we were very poor. Like I said, my dad was 63. He went blind when I was 13, and I had to quit school and go to work.
Wow.
I need to, as my pastor says, regress here just a little bit. But, when I was 10, we met a little man downtown. We were downtown. We went to town every Saturday. And it was Saturday, and we went downtown. We met a little man, and he said, I'm with the Shriners, and we want you to come to Shriners Hospital. We're going to help you with your legs. So I went to Shriners Hospital. This was in 1973, and I was 10. And they didn't have the technology to diagnose spina bifida, but they did some corrective surgery that changed my life. I was
Mm-hmm.
able to beat spina bifida. I was able to go on. I spent 27 years in law enforcement. So I was
Wow.
able to not only cross that hurdle, but I was able to excel above it.
That's a blessing.
So that kind of took care of my mobility issue. Fighting and all that stuff went out the window for a long time because I had to take care of my family. All my siblings were older, and they were grown and gone with their lives. They didn't have time, so it was left up to me to care for my mom and dad. And so I started writing again, probably around 99, 2000, I started writing again.
Nice.
And my wife one day came in, and it was a hot summer evening. I remember she was telling me a story about how that slave owners would misuse the Bible to keep the slaves in line. And as she was telling me how she thought this was terrible, a story was unfolding in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I saw this mammoth of a man that he was so angry he hated he hated his existence, but he was so powerful. And I saw how God came in and changed him, and he became a preacher, and he became the proclaimer for all the slaves and all those that were oppressed. And I thought, there must be people like this. So I got online and I looked. There was not a lot of background that I could get on slave preachers, but I did run across a couple.
Really?
One of which I want to mention. His name is John Jasper. John Jasper was a very eloquent man, and he was the Billy Graham of his day. He preached to not only slaves, but he preached to thousands of whites and blacks. And
Nice.
he preached so good that the other slaves would run away from their plantation to come and hear him preach.
Oh, wow.
And they would take a beating to hear him preach.
Wow.
Another great man of God, not so eloquent, more of a country boy, but a great preacher, was Lester Spell. And Lester, he worked a lot with the Underground Railroad, and he was very bold. He was a little bitty man. He was probably 5'3" and weighed maybe 180 pounds, or well, probably not that much, probably 140. And he was very fiery little preacher. So I took these great men of God and I molded them together. And I wanted to put into it some historical stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it a learning experience for my reader. And so I put the Nat Turner insurrection that happened in 31.
Yeah.
And then Armistead in 35, the Trail of Tears around 35, 37. And I kind of wove all this into the story.
That's
so, and in between that, there's some scripture thrown in there too. And it's going to be a good read, I hope. I hope that everybody likes it. Silas is the devil's child. He's 7'2", 350 pounds of pure hate.
Oh.
And they send him down. He's beside the road. He's digging post holes. And here comes this little white guy. He's got a minstrel show shirt on, got garters on his sleeves, wire rim glasses. And he's like, "Excuse me, sir." Silas is looking. Nobody calls him sir. He's trying to find out. Well, he said, "Can I have a drink of your water?" And he said, well, that's the slave bucket. Wait a minute, I'll go get you a fresh one from the creek. He said, "Oh, this will be fine." And he stepped across the ditch and took the gourd Silas had been drinking from and drank from it. Silas is just staring at him in
like,
amazement.
Whoa, what's
He's
happening?
like, I've never seen this. And he put the dipper down. He said, "Thank you, Silas." He said, how do you know my name?" He said, "Jesus sent me to find you, and he knows all about you, like the fact that you took Yellow John's wife." And big man just folds and starts weeping uncontrollably. He said, "I'm a wicked, wicked man. What do I do? What do I do?" And he talks him through the plan of salvation, and he gets saved, and he takes him down to the creek and baptizes him in the creek. Well, as the little guy was leaving, Silas realizes, "I need that book. I need that black book." And he ran back up, and the guy was gone. But when he went over by his tools, there the Bible was, the book that he was so worried about. And he picks it up and he opens it, and then he realizes, "I can't read." Pointless. I can't read. Because see, after the Nat Turner insurrection, it was a death sentence if a slave knew how to read and write. If they spoke eloquently, they could be killed. So here he is with this book and no way to read it, but it doesn't stay that way.
I
And
love
you
that.
have to read the rest.
Yes, we can't tell you anything else. That's it. That's it. Yes, go get the book. All the listeners, go get the book. I think it's going to be a great read. And fun fact, we actually work together through my brother. It's like a family affair. We my brother was the editor. I didn't know he edited, like he was one of the editors on it, and I did like the artwork for the cover, and it felt really good to get back into art because I used to really, do art full time before, but then I think the love for art, I don't know, film has taken that place. So it felt really nice to get back into drawing again. So yeah, thank you.
You guys helped make Silas Monday become a reality. With Anthony's editing and his nudging and saying, "Come on, you can do this, you can do this," and your wonderful artwork. You personified Silas Monday so well. I couldn't have asked for any better.
Oh, thank you.
And that's why I had to, have you guys in the credits, because this is not just about me. This was an effort that God put great people together to get done. And I'm so honored to have y'all not only as to work with, but to be my friends. That's so precious to me.
Oh, well, hey, thank you so much. Yeah, it was really, really cool to see that. It's like my brother, and it's so funny. My brother's why I got into TV's film production. Like he was the one who inspired me growing up. He always had a camera and he was doing that in school, and I would see that, and I basically took the camera. And I always so I know he's gonna listen to this and he's like, oh yeah, he's gonna love that I gave him that credit because he really inspired me to do that. So it's really like a full circle moment like that. We're working together on this. So thank you so much.
Well, I'm honored to have been a part of that. And Anthony is like my best friend. We are like kindred spirits. He'll call me up and he encourages me to do stuff. And your brother, he loves to debate. So we'll get something to debate about. And
he should run for president for sure.
We're just like peas in a pod, he and I. What God is doing in my life, I just next month, the 14th of September, I will graduate from Light University as a certified Christian counselor.
Awesome.
Specialties in marriage and family and PTSD for law enforcement and military veterans. I'm also a master life coach. Nice. And we're going to be opening a clinic in a little town just north of here, Lucedale. And eventually we'll have a domestic violence shelter in there. And awesome. We're going to be working with human trafficking victims as well.
Oh, wow.
So
love that.
Very excited about it. It's called Agape Haven of Hope. And we're pumped to see what God's going to do with it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We plan to take part of the proceeds, as Silas does well, and we pray that it does, of Silas Monday and put back in and help get all this going. And so a lot of things going on. So what's next for Meosha? What do you have wings waiting for you? What?
Well, a lot of fun things. I wrote a little children's book. I didn't tell people. I kind of have it on a hush hush, and I finally talked about it and I put it out, which is really, really fun because what inspired that was this movie called Sounds of Freedom, and it was about child trafficking and human trafficking, and it's a really sad, I mean, obviously it's been around, like this problem's been around for many years, but it inspired me to write something like for kids and to impart inside, like in the youth, that something positive and because we're living in such a weird time that is like so much negative and things out there and sadness, and I think children are the future, and and I feel like with the micro platform that I have, I could impart in a child something like, hey, you're not your circumstances. You can do anything you want to, you could be anything you want to be. And just, I think kids need that positive reassurance. And I feel like I'm just really happy I can give back and put that out there, but it'll be
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I'm really
I knew you'd
excited.
win.
I'm very excited. So yeah, God is good. Just a lot of wonderful things. I mean, this is something that I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. And so it's really cool to like finally see all the things that film. So I just love what I do. And I'm very just grateful and honored that, God's given me this gift. And I try to use it for, the better, and to spread positivity in such a time that we're in, like of this. I mean, the world is, especially the entertainment business, it's very crazy and it's not very pro God, not positive at all. And so it's really cool to be that kind of beacon of light in the midst of all the darkness. So that's what I have going on. That's what I have going on these
That's
days.
awesome. Back in 2013, my baby girl got into a riptide in Florida, and she was 10 years old at the time, and the lifeguard couldn't see her and her mother couldn't see her, but I saw her, and I was running to get to her, and it looked like the sand went all the way down to the water, but it didn't. It dropped off about 3 foot, and when I was in a dead run, and whenever I came down, my left leg went up underneath me, and it tore my left leg up really, really bad. But I was able to get in the water and get her out of the riptide. So the Lord let me do that.
Yeah.
Very honored.
Wow.
It left me in a wheelchair for a while, but I will get out.
Absolutely.
And did want to mention that my goal too is to show people that you can do anything you want. If you believe it, if it's in the will of God and you believe it with all your heart, there's nothing in heaven and earth that can stop you. You all systems, all systems go. You can do it. It all depends on you, how bad you want to do it.
Absolutely.
And so
I was going to ask you, because I saw that you're on the credit, it says Reverend. I didn't know. So when did like did you always have this like preaching calling on your life? Did you always want to be a preach, like a past, like in the pastoral position? I think that's absolutely amazing.
I got my calling when I was 13.
Wow.
And we were, and we were dirt poor. Even the dog was ashamed of us in public. Even he walked on the other side of the street when we went to town. But all the preachers that I knew had nice clothes and nice cars and all that. And I didn't have all that. So I ran far and I ran hard. And the Lord put me down, put his foot on my neck and said, I'm going to show you who's boss. So in 2001, I came back to the Lord and I surrendered. And I became a licensed minister. And it's so funny because I had spent all my life fighting drugs. And then I became a drug and alcohol counselor.
Wow.
And in a volunteer basis. And I worked in a program called ACTS, Alcohol Chemical Treatment Series. And I did that. My wife and I, we did that for almost 20 years. And so now that I look back, God was using everything that I was going through to lay the foundation for what we're doing now. Mm-hmm. Because the counseling played an important part whenever we started Agape. The hardships that I went through, being able to understand what happens with people and how they need God in their life and how to personify him to them. The sad part about the church world today is they've built sanctuaries for themselves and they shut themselves in, and it's blessed me and my four and no more in a lot of cases. And that's not what God had that's not what Jesus wanted at all. Right. He wanted us to go out to the whole world and say, look, let me tell you about the God I know. And I just so honored that he chose me to be his proclaimer. We are in the process of starting a little church in the city of Moss Point. Moss Point is they are a high crime area, but they're great people over there. We're going to do some things for the people and for the city, and we're looking for God to do a great work. So that's also on the table for the future as well. I'm like you, I never stop.
Right. I love that. I love that. I mean, why? I mean, if you love something and you have I think it's just like something like you never stop. Like I had a friend that, we kind of lost touch. Like it was like 5 years and something change happened and she calls me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, how's everything going? Are you still doing, film?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Yeah, like yeah, I'll never stop doing until my work on earth is done. But I want to ask you a question, and I think this is I ask every guest this question, and there's no wrong answer, but there's money, and then well, I guess I would say loyalty, but or I guess a power. If you could choose one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
I think, honestly speaking, out of the three, I would choose loyalty because
I love that.
money money is temporary. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. We've seen that. We see that every day in our crazy upside down world with these megalomaniacs and all that's going on. But for people to be loyal to you, to love you enough that they're going to hang with you no matter what, that's a great, great blessing. It's my personal belief that everything that we have in this life is on loan from God. We own nothing here. We came here naked and broke. We're going to leave here naked and broke. So I don't get into bling. I don't get into fame and fortune. I'm about souls. I'm about who can I help? How can I make their life better? How can I encourage them? How can I bless them? How can I get them to see the potential that is within them?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I live my life. I know it's kind of sappy, but that's how I live my life.
I love it. I love that.
Every day I wake up and I ask God.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be loyalty.
I love that. That's a great answer. It's a great answer. Um, I always like to ask this too. If you could give any advice to someone that wants to write a book or, to do what you did, what advice would you give them if they want to like get into this become a writer?
I would tell them three things. Number one, get started, do it. Number two, don't share your dreams with people that are going to tear them down. Only share your dreams with positive people. And number three, and most importantly, don't quit. I don't care what happens. Don't quit. Keep going until you've written those wonderful words, the end.
I love that. I love that.
Because you can do this. I have some more books on the back burner. The next one coming out is called Paladin, and it's about a guardian angel. Hank is a preacher, and Hank is one of those people, and I'm sure you've seen him, that he doesn't comprehend danger. He doesn't understand that you can die, you can be hurt. So God gives him this guardian angel with one heck of a sense of humor. This angel is awesome. He is so hilarious. And so everybody can see this angel, but Hank can't see it. He doesn't know he's there. He doesn't know he's getting help from a guardian angel. But when people try to hurt him or they try to cause him problems, they can see the angel.
That's interesting. That's an interesting concept.
And in the end, when the Lord calls him home and it's time for him to go, the last thing you see is he sees the angel, and the angel takes him home.
Oh, I love that. Well, that's exciting. Oh my goodness. I love that. Last question. When you get to the end of your life and your work is complete and you get to the pearly gates of heaven, and what are the words that you want God to say to you about you?
Well, first of all, I don't plan to just walk in there. I plan to come slide down 2 wheels to a smoking stop, and God's going to look and go, Johnny, you have worn that body out, so there's nothing left. Come on in. Let's talk about this.
I love it.
Now, I want to hear him say, you've done well, my good and faithful servant. You did what I sent you to do.
Love that. Love that. That's great.
Coming to your reward. That's my goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Where can people find you on social media so they can follow you, and where can they get the book?
You can get the book on Amazon. It is live right now, and there's a hardback, well, paperback, and then you can get the e-version as well on Kindle. Um, you can follow me on Amazon. It's got a picture of my mug on Amazon, and you can follow me there. Also, we're creating a page especially for me, a professional page, and it will be on Facebook very soon and Instagram. Um, and that's not to give me any glory, but to give God the glory. And they can just look me up on Facebook right now, Johnny Newell. I think it's Johnny.Newell at Facebook, something like that. But if you Google me, you'll see me.
Love it. Love it.
It's the same picture.
Yeah, right. Right. Right.
Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
my friend and
you.
for having me on your show. And I'm so honored by it. And I pray the Lord will bless you exceedingly abundantly above.
Thank you. I received that. And ditto, same to you. And I know the book is going to do amazing. And yes, more books to come. And thank you so much for blessing us with on this episode. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.